it's a beautiful morning. I love coming out and looking at these madrone trees. Today's topic for today's video is something that I find to be quite an irritation, and that is how landscape companies do not really understand or consider the needs of the trees when doing their jobs. How often have you seen a landscape being installed where the new sprinkler system cuts right across the root systems of the trees, the existing trees, so that they can put water to take? I don't get it. They're damaging the roots to add irrigation. So at the end of the day, it's really all about, the design that's put down on paper to make a future landscape work. But the consideration of the trees is really never a very important issue. I can't say always, but I see it so often that I just think landscape companies need to have an arborist on staff, and that arborist needs to be the first person to evaluate the property before the design goes in place. Oftentimes I see a landscape that does not consider the type of trees. In our area, we have a lot of oak trees: coast live oaks, black oaks, valley oaks, imported oaks like the holly oaks and the cork oaks. But most of these oak trees, while they need seasonal rain, they don't like it to be wet all year long. They need to dry out during the summertime, and that's very well understood in the arboricultural community. But it seems that the landscape community either doesn't pay attention or they don't really care. So how often do I see landscapers go in and completely scalp and grade or rototill around the entirety of the root system of an existing big beautiful tree, scrape off all the mulch, because that's not pretty, all the natural mulch, and put in their irrigation and plant it, and then sprinkle a little tiny bit of maybe tan bark or commercial mulch on top. Dyed mulch is really common, and expect the trees to suddenly recover from what they did. Today's video, it's a short one. It's about a situation I ran into yesterday, and it's about water and trees and what the landscapers did to a particular area. I think you'll find this interesting, and I hope that some landscapers out there might be made aware of this and maybe possibly change some of their ways. I doubt it. It's all about the bucks. So the job that we went to was on a large property with lots and lots of oak trees, and we were going to start on this oak tree. We're going to get all the dead wood out of it and raise it up. And we got there, we were actually setting up the job, and the sprinklers came on. So much power on these sprinklers. And one of the sprinklers was actually leaking, so I took this little shot here and took a photo of it and sent it to the property owner so he can know that that's something that the landscapers need to fix. Let me back up here a little bit. This is a new sprinkler installation. The fence in the back is new, and this whole area is getting all these new irrigation installations, but what they're watering and how they're watering is really incorrect. Let's take the tree. This is a Quercus agrifolia, coast live oak. They like seasonal rainfall, but they don't like to be watered all year round. And there was an additional problem. This main crotch here was full of debris, and look at that mess. Worms and everything else. So I'm in here cleaning this out to see if there is compromise in this catch, meaning that if the bark was compromised and it was leaking through and getting into the wood, that could create a serious instability or weakness up in the tree that would cause this thing to split and fall apart. And there was a lot in here. There was there was, I mean, it was like beautiful mulch or beautiful compost, you know, this deep, dark black compost. So when you look around the tree, a lot of times you can see areas of potential split lines, you know, where this is coming out on the opposite end. There's still a lot of gunk in there. There, look at that. You could see that that is an area where the tree just wants to fall apart. And looking up, there were 5 cables up here. So a long time ago, somebody recognized that there was an issue, and their solution was to cable it all together. Now, the added irrigation is just adding insult to injury to this existing problem. By keeping it wet all year round and causing this tree to have too much water, a lot of things happen. On the one hand, this tree is not, it doesn't favor being wet all year round. There's a lot of fungal organisms like armillaria that thrive in wet conditions. It's oak root fungus. And the compromised area of the tree, if it stays wet all year long, it actually causes the area to become worse. This was a catch-all where water was pouring into the trunk of the tree from an old wound. So the issue is wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry. That leads to long-term problems that eventually cause the tree to destruct. There was a lot of trees on the property, so I was able to find something else to do. And here I shot that little bit to show the homeowner. So in my travels last week, I came upon this. This is kind of funny. This is a Chinese pistache, and it's split all the way down. And you can see that it's an older split by the active cambium tissue that's growing up around this. But this tree is now half a tree that nobody is attending to. So should this tree stay, or should it be removed and start over? I think it's a good idea to start over. And finally, just to wrap up here on the video, my garden is coming along. Our garden, I shouldn't say my garden. It's actually Toby's garden, and I help him. But I like to think of it as being my garden because I always like having a garden growing, which is something I highly encourage all of you guys to do. Healthy food, good living, and it's just good dirt therapy. Thanks for watching.